Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. I said I wasn't going to do an animation analysis video on this guy. I know I said that his animations were too short, but let me explain myself. I really wanted to do a video on him anyway, even though his animation is so short. And with a recent announcement that we got for Dokkan, I kind of had this video come back up into my mind, not just because of what was announced, but also something that I said in relation to what was announced. Now, I gotta tell you, if you're not a fan of leaks or anything like that, click off the video right now, or skip to the timestamp that I have in the description. Pause the video right now and skip to that timestamp. I will maybe be talking about it throughout the video because it's kind of a part of why I'm making this video in the first place. But you've been warned. I'm going to show you some leaks right now. So if you're not into leaks, then it is okay for you to skip this video. However, if you're alright with leaks, then fair game, baby. Let's get into it. So, if you have been on Dokkan Twitter today, you've probably seen that Maverick tweeted out this today. And if you are unfamiliar with who Maverick is, he is a fairly new-ish, kind of not really, he's sort of been around the community for a while, but as far as I'm aware, he's only started doing leaks semi-recently for Dokkan, and of course this was tweeted today. Not to mention, this was also retweeted. I don't know if it'll pop up right on the top of the list if I just click who retweeted it here, but if you look through the retweets here, Mr. Funny I Seriously, hey look, there's me. Mr. Funny I Seriously also retweeted this as well. So, of course, you know, if I Seriously retweets a leak, then you kind of know that it's the real deal. There he is. There's my man. But yeah. So, of course, if that's the case, you know it's authentic. And even without I Seriously's authentication, basically, I could have told you that this was real because I trust Maverick with this sort of thing. Because he is reputable and the information that he has is good info. So, what this means, of course, is that in some capacity, Gamma 1 and 2 are going to be coming to Dokkan. Error, by the way, did specify later that this is only JP Dokkan, by the way. Now, we don't know if these guys are going to be Dokkan Fests or free-to-play, or if they're going to be, like, unfeatured units that kind of get their own banner, sort of akin to how, like, the original AGL Khalifa and Fizz Kale did, you know, something like that maybe, or like how, you know, Fizz Kefla got her own banner. Funny enough, the 300 stone incident occurred from that. But obviously she's just a regular unfeatured unit, so we really don't know what the case with these guys is. But that particular piece of this doesn't really matter for the sake of today's video. I just want you to understand a little bit of context behind this. Now, what does matter for today's video is my thoughts that came from this information. Obviously, with Superhero on the horizon for Dokkan, it'll be very curious to see if they keep the card art and the super attacks in the CGI style for these units. As we've seen, of course, with Gohan's card art, like we're taking a look at this guy today, right? He is sort of in this 3D-esque CGI style, right? And as well, the two other renders that we have that are sort of in this CGI style that is akin to the design to the movie is, of course, Piccolo and Pan, both of which are story event assets and don't actually have a card in the game yet. But of course, you can tell from the art style, right, they are, of course, in the style of the movie. Now, with this, right, and of course, we've sort of seen Cell Max's animations already, so I couldn't really, you know, do another video on him, of course. We've done an animation analysis video on him. I thought that in, you know, the sort of commemoration or in honor of Superhero sort of being on the horizon with the leak today, we would take a look at your boy Gohan. Now, something interesting to note before we get into the actual animation analysis portion of this is, of course, this guy is not really old by any means. He came out this year. However, hydrate or dihydrate, baby. He is obviously just an SSR. And this animation that we're going to take a look at is his super attack from just being an SSR. I know a lot of people are speculating that this guy is going to become UR. I would not even be surprised if he eventually became a free-to-play LR, to be honest with you. It would be kind of cool if he went through every single phase of his transformation, right? Maybe except for Final Gohan or Gohan Beast, because I'm sure they're saving that for a premium card. But it'd be cool if this guy's SSR was base form, and then he awakened into Super Saiyan, and then the LR was like Ultimate Gohan or something like that. That would be sick. But I just want you to know that before we look at today's actual animation, right, this already looks this good, meaning that this animation can only go up from here, which is crazy to think about. So let's go ahead and take a look at the animation. By the way, shout out to the boy Dokkan World, of course, for uploading this. I haven't uploaded this on my channel, but his is actually a lot higher quality, so I apologize about that. But thank you, Dokkan World, for the essay. Obviously, link will be in the description for this bad boy. As per usual, we're going to watch through it one time through in regular speed, and then we will take a look at it in slow-mo. Now, the thing with this, I feel like I'm saying now a lot in this video. I'm quoting Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, apparently. With this guy's animations, obviously this isn't too much of a lot to analyze, right? It's not a crazy amount to really go in depth with, right? It is a very simple animation at the end of the day, and really the most that we can look at is honestly the beginning portion of the animation, and then when he fires off the Masenko, right? That sounded really weird the way I said that. The Masenko. There we go. So, with the Masenko being fired off and with the beginning part, right? This is a very interesting essay because if you notice, right? Even from right out the gate with just the sprite being there, but even more so as this animation plays out, this animation is very stylized to Dragon Ball Super Hero, right? You can tell even just from looking at this, it kind of looks like a game's rendition of the animation style, which, wow, go figure. That's exactly what it is, right? So as this animation continues, obviously this is, of course, from the scene where Gohan, you know, comes on the scene on the Red Ribbon Army base with the rain in the background. We have the key explode immediately, as well as Gohan's hands come out. It's interesting that it comes a frame before the actual, like, impact frame. I kind of wonder why they just didn't wait till afterward to do that. Maybe it's just supposed to, like, then be like, oh, type of thing, right? It definitely doesn't look bad with it just appearing and then the impact frame being there. I think it would look a little bit weirder if it just appeared and that frame wasn't there. But it's still kind of interesting to note, right? Now, obviously, as we fade out, you can see that it is this very nice looking aura. And we also have this effect here, too, of this little sort of ring of power, I guess you would call this, that sort of emanates off of Gohan, which is cool. And it kind of looks like, as well, the white flash sort of fades into that a little bit, right? But you have this very nice white fade off, which, of course, emphasizes how much Gohan is powering up, right? Which is really cool. And then, of course, we have a really quick transition from one pose to another. But keep in mind, right, this is only an SSR SA, right? So, of course, it's not going to be as high quality or crazy, or they're not going to have all these in-between frames, you know, for an SSR as much as they are for a final animation, right? And, of course, you know, this guy is hopefully not the final product of the unit that he's actually going to be, because he definitely feels more like a promotional unit at the, like, moment than anything, right? But of course, he readies up for the Masenko and begins to charge the key in his hand. Interestingly, it's not actually in his hand. It's sort of like above his fingers here, right? Which I think is kind of interesting. But the key forms, and I think the key forming looks really good. It's kind of a shame that this part of the animation sort of gets, you know, covered up by the cut-in, even though the cut-in does look really, really good. But this looks really nice with the way that the aura is moving about the scene, right? The cape flowing in the wind, in the rain, and the aura's, like, pressure also looks really, really good. I think they nailed that for sure, right? Especially for how far away of an essay this is. It's fairly detailed, all things considered, right? So we, of course, have the fade to white with the card art then appearing on the screen. And after that's there, we, of course, have another fade from white. Let me see. Yes. We have a fade from white, which is nice. Obviously, the same pose that Gohan was in before. Interestingly enough, the cloak actually doesn't move in this section, which is kind of a shame. But I mean, like, I guess you're kind of not paying attention, so it's a little bit of a subversion of your attention. But still would be nice if it did. Nonetheless, they pan out a little bit with another frame. Thankfully, his cape does actually move here. And you have the aura fluttering about with the beam sort of flying forward from his hands, right? And a very nice shot, actually, of it just sort of coming out of his hands and the energy floating about, right? It still does kind of feel like just a cylinder, right? Or like a half circle of energy, but definitely not the worst energy I've ever seen. And again, it's an SSR SA, right? So that's another thing to keep in mind. The cloak definitely looks great, though. I really, really like the way that it moves right there. Interesting that the aura layer is over the key. I don't know if that's correct. Like, maybe that's not supposed to be that way. But I don't know. Very interesting that it is animated like that. But another fade to white. And of course, we have the anime speed lines before the enemy gets hit by the key. Which again, this just looks kind of like a generic key blast. It definitely looks better than some older key blasts. That's for sure. But it is just kind of, you know, your standard key blast. You know, sort of blasting into the enemy. And then we have the very generic Dokkan explosion effect with the character hitting the camera. One other interesting thing that I want to note about this before I get into more of the like stylistic aspect of this is that it's kind of funny how this is almost like an updated version of the classic Masenko SA, right? Like the older Dokkan SAs, every Goku and every Gohan in the game, right? Kamehameha Masenko, right? It was the same animation with the sprite, literally the 2 frames basically of animation, right? And it's kind of funny how this is almost like a very modern day version of that old sort of animation. I think that's kind of funny. But nonetheless, with all of the stylistic choices of this, right, I think it's clear to see that this is obviously very movie-esque. When you watch this animation, it feels like it's the stylized version of the movie, right? Even this shot where the character's far away, it still looks like that Gohan is in that sort of CG style. So, with me taking a look at this animation, right, the whole point of this, besides obviously taking a look at Gohan's animation in the first place, right, is to say that I'm really hoping, and I'm thinking that they're going to do it this way, considering that they did it with Gohan here, right? I'm hoping that the Gamma 1 and 2 that are going to be coming into the game will keep this sort of animation style, because I think that's really, really unique, right? There are some Dokkan animations that definitely keep the style from their particular source material. I think the first one that comes to mind is like Tech Gogeta's 18 key, right? That is literally ripped right out of the Fusion Reborn movie, and it's very stylized to how that movie felt, right? Where some of the other Dokkan essays just kind of feel like Dragon Ball animations in Dokkan. These feel like they're the style of the movie. So, I'm really hoping and thinking that most likely what they're going to do is they are going to keep with this stylistic choice of these animations and give it to Gamma 1 and 2. Now, it will be interesting to see, because obviously with Cell Max's animations that we did take a look at a little bit, they did sort of deviate a small bit from the CGI style. The intro was a lot closer to the animation style of Superhero than the actual SA was. So, it will be interesting to see what they end up going with. That could also be because he was a boss character and not like an actual, you know, like Dokkan Fest or LR or whatever type of unit, right? Or even free-to-play unit, right? He's just a boss SA that you're going to, well, I mean, I guess in his event you do see it a lot of times. But you're only going to see it in that one event, right? So, that is basically the point that I wanted to make with this video, right? I really hope that they keep with this CG style for the animations for this movie. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. If they're already doing it for a free-to-play unit, not to mention a free-to-play SSR, no less, I would really hope that they continue with this stylistic choice for the rest of the animations that they're going to use characters for Superhero from. But definitely want to hear what you guys have to think about this one. Please let me know in the comments section below what you think. I am very excited to see the animations for these Superhero units. Of course, I will do an animation analysis video as soon as we have the animations for those units, so definitely keep an eye out. And we can sort of come back to this video a little bit in the future in terms of some of the points in talking I almost said points and talking points. Basically, I guess. Basically what we talked about in this video, right? We can come back to it when we get the full animations for superhero units and sort of see if this video predicted the future a little bit. I can see the future. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, let me know what you think of all this in the comments section below, and I will catch you in the next one. DBZ Assets out. Peace.